Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Hope you all have been enjoying our marathon so far, especially the After Dark portion. I'm going to be taking over here for Virus. He did an excellent run of roller games. But now it's my turn. Hello, everyone. I am Vonivon. I am going to be bringing you a super sweet TurboGrafx-16 game here. We've already seen plenty of TurboGrafx-16 action so far in this After Dark section, and this actually won't be the last of it. We're going to see some more coming up. Right now, we are going to be doing Neutopia, and I hope you folks are ready, because I am, so I'm going to get started right about now. Alrighty, folks, here's your lore. The evil wizard Dearth beams himself down into the land of Neutopia in the middle of the night, kidnaps Princess Aurora, and whisks away with her. This is what causes the people to summon our hero. Everyone, say hello to Jazeta. Jazeta is currently being instructed by the old mother here in the temple that he needs to go out and collect the 8 medallions of wisdom from wise men of years past. Once they are affixed in their proper places in the temple, then the path to the Dearth's evil lair will be opened, and he can go and confront him. So the first thing we're going to do here is strictly for marathon safety. We're picking up an item called the Book of Revival. What this will allow me to do is create passwords and essentially save my game should I rip, which is highly unlikely, but you never know. There's always first time for everything. Yes, plenty of evil, Smitty. Take my word for it. Alright, here we're just picking up some supplies. Bombs for breaking things open, and medicine for not dying. So the way that this game works is that there are 4 overworlds that are done in a linear order, and each overworld, which are referred to as spheres, have 2 dungeons, or what are referred to as crypts in this game, in them, and each crypt contains a medallion. So the spheres that, and the order we'll be doing them in, are the land sphere, where we are currently. Next we'll do the subterranean sphere. Hope you have your RG lava emotes ready for that one. After that we'll do the sea sphere, and then finally the sky sphere. Now, what we're... Yo, thank you, Lat. Good to see you, my man. What we're going to be doing here is picking up arguably the most important item in the game. This is the Fire Wand. We will be using it primarily as an assault weapon. However, it will give us access to a couple of areas by way of using it. Whoa, hello. Oh boy. Alright, so coming up in a couple of screens here, I'm going to demonstrate a fantastic example of static enemy movement, at least initially. Here we go. Oops! I walked right into him, because I was on the wrong tile. Well, never mind. Yo! HazyQ01, thank you very much for that subscription. On behalf of RGL TV, we greatly appreciate it. Yeah, get your yeah buddies out there. Your retro wins. Alright, so this detour here is to pick up a extra segment of life. This is rather important because of how the Fire Wand works. So it will actually do additional damage and have a more favorable trajectory, I suppose is the best way of putting it, depending on the amount of full life segments that you have. So if you have at least 8 full life segments, your the fire that's going to come out of the Ronde will be upgraded, and then a further upgrade, the ultimate upgrade, once you have at least 12 full segments. Now, of course, you can't have these actual segments unless you have the maximum capacity for them, which is why it's important to make that detour to get it. We will be taking another couple of additional life upgrades throughout the run. Every time you complete a crypt, you just automatically get an additional segment, of life for just completion. So we're gonna have that growth naturally, but in a couple of areas we want to get a little extra boost so that we can get to that good fire sooner. Also, I should note that this is crypt number 2, technically. We're always going to do the more difficult crypt first in each of the spheres, and the reason being is that the items either on the way to and or in those crypts themselves, the more difficult ones that is, are more powerful and useful, so we want to get those sooner. Certainly the Fire Wand was on the way to this crypt, so that made sense, but there's also a sword upgrade that we're going to get in here, which is actually rather important for fighting pretty much most of the bosses for the first half of the game. So we want to get that ASAP. Ah, that bomb pack was really nice. I need at least one to keep going here. So what I'm picking up here is a key. Every crypt has one key that is unique to that crypt, and you need to have it in your possession in order to gain access to the room that contains the boss for that crypt. Indeed, Tramp, that is a comparison that gets thrown around a lot when people watch this game, so... and I can't say that I blame them for making such a comparison. However, it should be noted that this game actually was released before Link to the Past, and you could say that the makers of that game took some inspiration from Neutopia. Also, if you watched my run of this at RPG Limit Break about a week and a half ago, you would know that a lot of things took inspiration from this game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, get back here. Yo, what's up, bro? Thank you for the good luck. Alright, so you see how that door to the next room is brown? That denotes that there's a boss behind it, so we know we are close. Alrighty. So this is the Golem boss. And we got the 2 cycle, which is what we wanted. So basically that's how he attacks, as he splits apart into several pieces. And flings those pieces at you to expose its core. And it takes 11 hits, so ideally you do it in 2 cycles, which is what we did. A lot of Destiny too. Yeah, I'm with you there. Oh goodness. Yo, Shaddy, thank you very much for the good luck. Hope you all been enjoying what we've been doing so far. I know I have. There have been some great runs. Having a lot of the crew live at that game shop in New Jersey has been really, really fun to watch. And in case you missed it, don't worry, there's more live NLSS action coming to you. Well, I guess pretty much for all of us, it's going to be later this morning or later today. So do not miss out on that. What we're doing here after dark is exclusively RGL members, whereas what's going on tomorrow is going to be RGL members and non-RGL members alike. So lots of good variety with what you're going to see tomorrow. I believe the live portion of tomorrow is going to start off with like 3 or 4 RGL members in a row. But then after that, there's going to be a good blend. Menzing, I'm glad to hear that. I'm enjoying myself too. I always enjoy myself when I play this game. It's like kind of like Zen for me. That was the nice pattern. Perfect. Oh, okay. So that item I just picked up there from that last enemy dropped. That is a magic ring. That is going to be rather important coming up in about like 15 minutes or so. So the fact that I already have one is excellent. Oh yeah, it is definitely a comfort game. We try to keep it comfy AF in here. And I think we have been so far. Just everything I've been watching from the marathons was great. Oh. I did not get a favorable pattern from those earwigs, but I made the most of it. There we go. Alrighty. Very basic dragon boss here. Just 17 hits, tank the damage, it's fine. We already got the armor upgrades, so we're perfectly safe. Alright, so now that we've collected both of the medallions in the land sphere, we're going to see a stairway open up here. And now we're in the subterranean sphere. You could tell that it is subterranean because of all of the RG lava. Thank you, Murdoch. Alrighty. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to pick up... Electrian. If I'm saying that right. Electrian, something like that. First in with the RG lava. GG. So we picked up the Moonbeam Moss. What this will do is it's going to light our way in a few crucial dark rooms that we're going to encounter. Most of the dark rooms I'll be able to negotiate without really any issue. However, the ones that require you to push certain blocks, especially in a certain pattern, it is going to be really helpful to have that. So we pick up a second medicine here because we're going to need it. With the exception of bombs, medicine is the only usable item, usable consumable, that is, that you can hold more than one of. Oh, whoops. So one thing that helps to make things faster and also to mitigate damage that I take is I'm going to be entering a lot of screens on a very particular tile. And this is going to be to either avoid enemies or sometimes manipulate their movement. And this actually will come into play with certain bosses coming up. And I'll be sure to point that out. But first, we need to pick up the Rainbow Drop. What the rainbow drop will do is allow us to traverse one tile wide gaps, such as, you know, rivers, chasms, holes in the ground, so on and so forth. And in fact, it's actually going to be necessary to get past the first room of the next crypt that we'll be entering. Ah! Did not get the good enemy movement pattern there. Oh well. Yes, so I'm playing the Japanese version. I'm sorry, Fallen Redemption. That's a good question. I'm playing the Japanese version because text scroll, and as is pretty much the rule, when it comes to text scroll, Japanese text is always faster than English. However, the differences between the Japanese and North American versions, beyond the language, are basically nil. So, the US version plays exactly the same. Alrighty, so these are some of the worst enemies in the games. They're called ghost cloths. And you saw what he did right in front of me there. They will, whenever they feel like it, just disappear and become invulnerable during that time. And you have to sit around and wait for them to reappear wherever that is. They will still move while they've disappeared. So you have to be very careful with your movement around them so that you just don't happen to be standing right where they reappear. Like that guy came right at me and immediately disappeared, so I knew to give him some space before I go to assault him. Oh, and to make matters worse, ghosts are impervious to your fire wand, so I have to kill them with my sword, which means getting up close and personal with them, which you want to avoid with virtually every single enemy in this game. Luckily, that room went pretty fast. Alright. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, the rainbow drop is the quote-unquote ladder if you would like to make a direct comparison to The Legend of Zelda. The step ladder, to be more specific. That's a great question, Professor. A great question indeed. Alrighty, one more room here before the boss. I'm going to enter on the left tile, and I'll explain why when I'm done. Yo! So that was Stunlock Earwig, a boss that we trivialized by exploiting the fact that even though his tail segment is the only part of him that takes actual damage, all of his segments take hit stun. So you could just bounce the whole thing up against the wall and just kill it that way. Now, if you allow that boss to move around the room and you get plenty of its body in between you and its tail, that can actually be a very tricky boss to fight. Which is why we enter on the left tile, so that way he just comes straight down, we walk straight up, and it's a perfect match. It probably would be more, I guess, apt to call it a centipede. However, it's been Stunlock Earwig in my splits for so long that it's canon now, so feel free to call it whatever you would like, but its name is Stunlock Earwig. Yes, thank you for sharing. Yes, earwigs have neither ears nor wigs. Discuss. Alrighty, so we didn't really mention it before, but you kind of see some of the dark rooms that are coming up here. Again, if you know them well enough, then there's no reason to waste time menuing to use that Moonbeam Moss. There are going to be some places. In fact, I'll do it in a room here just to make it a little easier to navigate. Just for my own sanity. Because there is a particular block that you have to push, so... So this is the effect of the Moonbeam Moss. Lighting up this room. Actually, once you use the Moonbeam Moss, the light of it will actually stay in effect for, I believe it's the next 4 or 5 rooms, which is actually pretty convenient. You don't have to keep menuing back to it every time if there's several rooms in a row. This is not budget Zelda, Highborn. This is Zelda Enhanced. More specifically, this is Neutopia for the TurboGrafx 16. Alrighty. One more room here until we fight one of the trickier bosses to do properly in the game. A couple of bosses I like to refer to as the Dagger Twins, and you'll see why. Oh. Okay. There we go. You know, Professor Yana, I could not have said that better myself. Maybe there are, Xerxes, you are currently not watching one of them. Alright, so both medallions have been retrieved from the crypts in the subterranean sphere. Now we're off to the sea sphere. This is where things get interesting for several reasons. First of all, get your RGL hot jams in chat, because the background music here is quite the banger. But also, we've got what most people consider to be the most difficult crypt in the speedrun coming up next. There you go. Lat Mackey's got my back. Appreciate that, my man. So, we just picked up another one of those voluntary life upgrades. Now, what this caveman here is going to do is he is going to refill my bombs, as well as increase the capacity of bombs that I can hold from 8 to 12. Which is very nice. Also very nice is the viewer count that I'm looking at here. Everybody from the front page of Twitch, welcome to Retro Gaming Live TV, and to be more specific, the Next Level Speed Showcase After Dark. What we've got going on right now is a marathon. It's all weekend long. It's being broken into kind of like 2 segments. We've got a live segment going on at a game store, the Next Level video game store in New Jersey. However, while the store is closed, us RGL members are taking over and continuing the speedruns while we wait for them to reopen and get that action going again. So, what I just picked up there are what are called the Falcon Shoes. You might notice that I am moving a lot faster. For a speedrun, this is good. Oh, it indeed is. Alright. Just gonna make a sweet little pit stop here. Let's have a real quick conversation. So what I just did there was I generated a password. If I happen to rip in this next dungeon, instead of starting way back at the beginning, I will start there. Alright, so we have these really, really annoying wizard enemies here that are introduced here. Also, those green slugs, they're going to be noteworthy in just a minute, so remember them. They will be rather important. Ah, shoot. Oh boy. These wisp enemies can be rather annoying because while they only move diagonally, when they change direction and whatnot is totally random. Also, these kind of zombie armadillo things are annoying as well because these are yet another enemy that can only be damaged by your sword. The fire wand does nothing to them. Alright. Yes, zombadillos. That is a word that has been uttered on my stream on several occasions. Alright, so we are now going to demonstrate the power of the magic ring. There were a bunch of wizards, and now there are not. Instead, we have these slugs here. Now, that one that just dropped a ring, which I need for later in this crypt, is what we like to refer to as a slug homie, because he hooked me up with some great RNG, and then the other one there, that's just icing on the cake. I can only hold one ring at a time, so just going to get that was just me and shiny objects. But the first one that I picked up was oh so sweet, because I will be using it in just a few rooms to make what is an otherwise terrifying fight rather trivial. Again, with these rooms here where I've got no blocks to push, I know the layout, so we just waltz right through them. This room can get tricky if you allow yourself to get surrounded, but if you can kind of do this, where you can kind of corral them all into one spot and then get an hourglass so that they don't move, then life is good. Alright, let's get those out of the way. Fire yo-yo, I like that, yes. Again, with there being so many enemies that you have to deal with in this game, and because we're doing the any percent route, so my armor is not at its full upgrade that it could be right now, you don't want enemies touching you, like, at all. So, the more distance that you can keep between yourself and the enemies, the better off you're going to be. And the fire wand allows you to do that. Alright. So that's another room where you have to fight 4 wizards, except like, basically the entire middle of the room is cut off. So it makes fighting them rather terrifying. But the ring takes care of that. Now, we didn't get another ring from these slugs. We're going to use one more. Yo, poor Scythe, what's up? We're going to want to use one more in the 8th crypt. Let's see if we can get one right here. This would just be grand if I could. Oh, baby. Greed is good sometimes. So that was very fortunate. There's one room before the boss in Crypt 8 where I actually want that bomb pack, and I got it. Enemy drops in this game last almost a comically short amount of time. If you want it, you need to go pick it up. Otherwise, it's going to disappear pretty quickly. So I'm glad I got that bomb drop. And of course, as I'm saying that, I get another one. Alright, so everyone say hello to Poverty Trinex. This is going to be easily the longest fight of the game, and also the most random. But when you can do things like this, where you can just pin the enemy head against the wall, and we're going to do a refill there because we don't want to die. When you can just pin them against the wall and just hit them repeatedly, it makes fighting this boss much, much easier. That's already 2 down. That's pretty good. And we're in good shape to destroy this third one pretty soon. There we go. Alrighty. You know what, Inanichus, don't sweat the details. Just... It's just poverty Trinex. We have determined this. Alright, so, at this point, I have 12 full segments of life. And like I was saying before, once you have that, you now have access to the good fire. You'll notice it is a nice, strong, continuous, rolling wave of fire. This is actually going to be extremely important for fighting a couple of bosses coming up. So the fact that we have it is worth all the time and effort that we went into getting those extra segments of life, so that it would allow us to do so. Like, normally I'd have to weave in and around all these enemies, but instead I'm just going to throw a bunch of fire at them, and they gone. Whoa now. However, if I take the slightest amount of damage, then I no longer have access to it until I either A, use a potion, or B, pick up enough cherries from enemies to fill my life to the point where I would have at least 12. So what I'm doing here is what I like to refer to as a micro crypt. It's really just going to be these 3 rooms here. I need to come up, talk to this guy, and if I don't do this, I can't get into Crypt 5. This is the only... Crypt 5 is the only crypt that has this sort of requirement to it. I don't know why. I also don't know what he's saying because I don't speak Japanese. So the significance of it, unfortunately, I can't help you there. But I just know that I have to do it. And so we do. Crypt 5 is going to be coming up pretty soon here. Yo, Endmei. How are you tonight? Hope you're having as much fun watching this game as I am running it. I don't trust these little tadpoles here, so I like to just put out a nice field of fire to make sure that I don't get bumped. And hit it. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty. Whoa, boy. A little too close for comfort there, my little slug pal. Alright, go away. Oops, didn't mean to throw that straight down. That's alright, though. Yeah, as much distance as I can keep between myself and the enemies as possible. That is what I am going to do. So we have our key. I don't need that ring because I already picked one up in the crypt before. Push it, please. Thank you. Alrighty. So now we're going to come up to the boss here. You're going to see why having the good fire is so important. Normally I would need to stab this boss 24 times with my sword in order to kill it. We're looking at least 6 cycles. And with him starting out by going right, we're just going to do that. So that's the crab bake. There's a 50-50 chance of him either moving left or right when he gets up to the top of the screen. If he moves left, you cannot one-cycle him. You just can't get the fire in the right place in time. So, the fact that it moved right was fortunate because I got to demonstrate the one cycle kill. Alright, so here we are in the Sky Sphere now. This is going to be the final sphere of the game. This one also has a soundtrack that slaps rather hard. So I would not be mad if you dropped some more RGL hot jams in chat for this one too. Honestly, I have been intentionally quiet for the last few seconds here, just to give you folks some time to appreciate the sweetness of this music. Alrighty. So we take the magical stairs over here to the second section of this sphere. I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Especially because we only have one potion. I'm actually going to skip this room here. And we're just going to do something else instead. Yes, Paul, that's how upward stairs work. You step on the first step, you go hurtling into the sky in a spiral fashion, and you just get plopped down at your destination. Alright, so what I'm doing here is not only generating a password, but I also intentionally did a kind of like it's a reset cycle. And the significance of that is that you'll notice now, after I've done my reset, my life is full again. And having the good fire for the first section of this next crypt is very important. And considering I was nowhere near enough bars of life to do it, and I need to save this potion for the end of this crypt, I went ahead and exploited that nice little trick to get your life back in order to... I mean, I was going to safety save anyway for a marathon, but now also I get to save that potion as opposed to taking a detour to get another one, which I have already skipped. It is like canon travel, yes. That's a good comparison. Who said that? Oh, Murdoch. Nice. Alrighty. Those mummies have quite a bit of HP. You see how the good fire just lays absolute waste to enemies. It is such an important item to have. Speaking of important items to have, the one we're going to be picking up here is going to basically... it's going to basically allow us to cheese through the rest of this game. This is the Bell of the Sky. What this will do, when I ring it, like so, is it will open any doors that would otherwise need to be opened by either killing all of the enemies in the room and or pushing a block. Instead, you ring the bell and it just forces the door open, and it's going to allow us to skip a lot of combat for the rest of the game. In fact, pretty much the only things we're going to be forced to fight going forward are bosses. I'm only going to really kill enemies at this point if it's faster to do so, just to get them out of my way, or if I'm really trying to avoid taking damage. So what can gold be used for in this game? Gold can be used for buying things. Do we buy anything in this speedrun? No. So, my concern over my gold count is exactly nil. Oh, there are plenty of shops throughout the game where you can buy bombs, medicine, magic rings, so on and so forth. However, unless you only need it really for safety, like if you're first starting to learn the run, they're just simply not used in the speedrun. Yeah, one thing that often will get mentioned when I do runs of this is it is not uncommon for my gold count, how should I say this, to be 30 less than it is currently. And some of my viewers like to point that out when that happens. Alright, so here is where we use the final ring that we will need for the game. You saw there were lots of beefy enemies in this room as I walked into it, and now there are not. Instead, there are these little kind of sad enemies. Alright. Here's why I need the potion. We're gonna go for a quick kill here. And we got it! That boss, if you do not get the quick kill, is incredibly difficult to deal with. Because it flies around the room, retracts itself into its mask, and it has just an absolute buttload of HP. This is why we safety save before this boss, not because, or before this crypt. Not because of the dangers of the crypt itself, it's because if that boss goes sideways, I'm probably going to die. Retro Omega, you seem impressed. I appreciate that. Alrighty, so back into the Sky Sphere we go. We're going to make one extremely important detour before we get to the final crypt. Bell does not work for boss doors, unfortunately. If it did, then yeah, I would love to save time not retrieving a key in this next crypt, but alas. Alrighty. Now here's another key reason why we pick up the Bell of the Sky. Because it allows for this staircase to appear, and of course we go spinning into the sky. And we are going to pick up now our final sword upgrade. It's certainly going to be important for the next boss we fight, but mostly for the final boss, which is going to come immediately after the completion of this next crypt. There is no final quote-unquote dungeon or crypt per se. Just once you've collected all 8 medallions, it's just you go straight to the final boss. Ooh. So, we need to make sure that we are prepared. And this sword is essentially necessary for killing that boss, especially quickly. Okay, that bomb drop was a nice little relief, because I just don't remember off the top of my head how many bombs I needed in this next crypt. I thought 3 would be fine. 7 certainly will be. Oh boy. into crypt number 7 we go. Only one we need to deal with now. Before we go and rescue the princess from the clutches of the wizard Dearth. Get used to that bell chime. I believe we use it 8 times in this crypt alone. So, certainly that just underscores the importance of getting it before you come in here. Perfect. Alrighty, so that's definitely a room where it's very nice to have the Moonbeam Moss used. Because if you don't push those 3 blocks like I did in those particular directions, you have to reset the room, which takes more time than you would like for it to. So, if we're just talking about just doing a quick menu to get that room lit up to make sure there's no issues, then that's exactly what we're going to do. Oops. This is another one where it's nice to have light, because you got to push 2 blocks in particular directions there. So seeing what you're doing never hurts. Alright, now it's time for the bell to shine. Once. Twice. And 3 times. Alrighty. Can't use it here. This is the boss door. Speaking of the boss, don't blink. And there we go. Alrighty, so final medallion get. Oh, wow. I just saw my time. Folks. I don't want to jinx anything, but, you might be in for... You might be in for a rather special occasion. This is our final boss. Enjoy the music. Oh, baby. Folks, brace yourselves. So that was Dearth, 32 hits, and he goes down. Time is when we get to the next screen, and then it fades to black. But as long as you don't move left or right there, he will always appear above and below you alternatively. And so having the sword, the strongest sword, is going to... allow us to crush him with ease. Ladies and gentlemen, that is time, and that is a world record by 31 seconds. Wow, nice. Alright. I mean, I knew I was playing well. I knew I was playing really well, and I skipped a room that normally takes about 25 to 30 seconds to go through because I was in good shape with potions, and we just set a world record right here, not only on RGL TV, but during Next Level Speed Showcase After Dark. which is really funny because Anthole, one of our senior members of RGL, asked me before my run if I was going to world record here. And I said no, because I'm doing the any percent category, and my run was pretty solid. But this was solider, so yo, I am super hyped that I got to treat y'all to a world record. That is really cool. The previous world record was 48 minutes and 58 seconds. So yes, clearly Anthole knew what was up. Yeah, now he's laughing at me. All right. Well, you know what? You got it. You got what you wanted, and I hope you're happy. Oh wow. Well, what's going to be really sweet is using footage from RGL TV and a marathon, no less, as my submission video. So yeah. Well, I tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Because we're so underestimate, and because I'm going to go ahead and take a victory lap, if you don't mind. I'm going to start out by thanking everyone for watching. We had a spike, I think you could say, in our viewer count, which is still sustaining now. 4,600 strong is nothing to sneeze at. So I hope you all enjoyed it. This is a really sweet game to play and to run, and every time I do this for marathons, I've got to make my spiel here. I would love to bring people into the fold when it comes to the community and people that run this game. So if you liked this game, then or if you liked what I had to do here, please give me a follow. There's the purple featured button there below the stream. You can go ahead and just click on that and give me a follow. I'm more than happy to teach people anything they want to know about this game. I actually made a tutorial video not too long ago for the 100% category of this game, which I feel is better for beginners to get into this. So this game is called Neutopia. It is for the TurboGrafx 16. I just did the any percent category of this game. There's also a 100% category, which takes, run well, takes maybe about an extra 4 or 5 minutes. But it does pick up some extra safety. So again, if you're learning, it's nice to have better armor, better shields, more life, a stronger sword, so on and so forth at certain segments of the game. So you want to, I would suggest checking that out first. So yeah, I would appreciate the follows so that I can spread the gospel of this game even more. It's something that has been my main game for a while now, and I've done a lot with it, and I'd like to share that with others as well. So please become a part of that if you would like. If you're wondering about playing this, because I know not a lot of people have a TurboGrafx 16 just sitting around in their attic or whatever. This game is actually fairly accurate when it comes to emulation. I recommend BizHawk for that. So that would be something you could look into there as far as being able to play this game and have access to it. It is also on the Wii U Virtual Console. It is on PSN as well, as Murdoch has pointed out. So plenty of ways that you can play this game, and I highly encourage you to do so because it is a lot of fun. So again, if for those of you that are just tuning in or wondering what's going on, we here at Retro Gaming Live TV are putting on our very first live marathon. Now we're doing the After Dark section right now, where this is just the online portion. However, where the live portion of this is taking place, which is the Next Level video game shop in New Jersey, I believe. Once they open, we will resume with our live portion of the marathon, and you definitely want to check that out because there's going to be a lot of great stuff going on tomorrow. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and drop the schedule here in chat for you so that you can pull up that link, see what you've still got coming up, and there's lots of good stuff. Speaking of what is coming up, we have we've got our very own Toad 22484. He's going to have a sweet little block of games coming up for you here. Specifically, he's going to be doing some Super Pitfall, some Star Wars for the NES, Contra, and then he's going to round out his block with a game called Kadash, which is another TurboGrafx-16 game. So I always love it when I've got fellow TG-16 players in and among my space, of which Toad is definitely one of them. So that is going to just about do it for me. I figured we'll go ahead and let it cycle to the very end of the credits, because it's only fitting to do so after smashing a world record like that. So here we are. So again, if you enjoyed what you were watching here, I would appreciate if you would give me a follow. I'm going to check in with Toad here in just a second, and you can see what's going to be coming up there, and we will hand you on over to him. So again, I've been Vonnie Von. I have appreciated the opportunity to entertain you for the last hour, and please stick around, because Toad is an excellent speedrunner of many things, especially on the NES, and he's got a lot of that stuff coming up for you here. Also, you don't want to go away, because Super Pitfall is a very, very well-made game, and the speedrun of it is rather straightforward, so it'll be easy to follow along. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stick around and give Toad plenty of love. I will see you all next time, and until then, take care, folks.